Hey there, Board Game Brody here with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Like this one, Gun It. This is a cooperative getaway game by Randy O Games. You and your fellow players will be, have different situations where you will need to hurry, run into your car, and now you gotta gun it. Because someone, or rather, everyone is trying to get and catch you. Hurry and pick your driver who can maneuver the car the best, and the other three will exchange weapons to shoot at those the unwelcome guests that are trying to follow you. All players will also decide their turn order and the direction they will be using their weapon or maneuvering the car in and making a plan. So again, you crossed their path. You discovered the truth and messed up their plans. Now, your crew is about to be surrounded by hostile vehicles because the Inertia Corp wants you to disappear. Can you survive together? The clock is ticking and only time will tell how your plan will come together, or didn't. So pile into your car, everyone, and gun it. The game is played over a number of rounds determined by the chosen scenario that you're going to play for the game. There are 7 different scenarios. Gun It, Hidden Curves, Make It a Double, The Reckoning Road, Run and Gun, The Chaos Cleaners, and Gunners. You will decide on the difficulty levels for 4 different things in the game that can change from game to game. You can choose from level 1 to 3 for the crew, separate from the level 1 through 3 for the scenario, then level 1 through 3 for the setting, and lastly, you can choose level 1 through 3 for the hostiles. The crew is you and your team, and you will choose a driver and set your, car so that that driver is sitting next to where the driver's seat is. All other players now become passengers, either in the front right of the car or the back left and right of the car. Each player has a card that shows where they are sitting and the directions where they will have a safe shot versus the dotted line that shows a more risky shot due to, shooting past their own crew members. Order cards are randomly dealt out. The driver then takes the steering wheel equipment card and a random accessory. And then all other players, they will receive a random basic equipment card. And lastly, the direction cards are dealt out. These 3 cards will determine the sequence that you perform your actions in and what actions and in what directions you're shooting in or driving for the driver, which way you're going to maneuver the car. With upper levels, you will add in advanced equipment to spice things up and also eventually add in accessory cards to all players. The scenario is chosen. There is, an on-ramp guide for beginners to follow, but after you can, choose your own scenario that you want to play, it will show your goal, the duration of play of how many rounds it is, and the score chart. Sometimes setup can change, from scenario to scenario, so some things can be different. You can also introduce extra rules when increasing your level or difficulty, like when your crew car has 3 damage, you now double your points for causing multiple pileups or having a continuous timer throughout the game starting and stopping the same timer. With the setting, you have 25 moment cards and 14 setting cards. With the moment cards, the star means that, this is for the newer players, and the text bubble indicates that those cards aren't to be used for 2 players only. You can use either moment or setting cards. When increasing your difficulty, then you can use both of them. Lastly, the hostiles. These are, sorted by type, and you will use 24 basic hostiles and 1 advanced and 1 obstacle combined in with all the others. With time, you can then add in, conditional attributes shown on the basic tiles. And lastly, you will cause any hostile card with 1 damage to become armed, with, 2 damage to become heavy, and obstacles will no longer contribute to pileups. Things that make it more difficult. So again, you will start with the lower levels and eventually you can make things harder and more complex with all these different things. And you can still, do the crew at level 2, the scenario at level 1, the setting at level 3, and the hostiles at level 1, something like that. So you can mix things up with any combinations of levels for all those 4 things. Let me get into the actual gameplay now because maybe some of these things that I've said already don't make sense, and let me clarify it all. You start with the lookout phase where you will refill the grid with 8 tiles surrounding the crew car. If playing with moments or setting cards, you will draw those now as well. For the moment cards, you will take turns drawing this card and choosing one of the options listed on the card. For the setting cards, the player who holds the last order card draws this and chooses to either keep the drawn card or discard that one and instead draw the next card blindly without revealing it yet. The timer is then set. This can be, the included stand timer or the digital timer with added music to make things feel a little more tense as you are running for your life. You will move into the planning phase where you will reveal the chosen moment or setting cards. And for us, this time we're on the news. The crew earns 1 XP for each wreck that is not in a pileup, or the crew earns 2 times the usual XP for each wreck in a pileup. So let's choose the second. And then Ancient Streets. When a vehicle is wrecked by a shot, redirect all collateral damage in the direction of a single arrow. So that might help us take out some of the larger, harder to destroy cars. We then reveal the grid, flipping all tiles over face up. We start the timer, and now it's time to trade action cards. The goal is for each player to end with the best combination of cards according to their seating position. So all players must hold at least 1 order card, 1 direction card, and 1 equipment card. And the steering wheel needs to be held by one of the 2 players sitting in the front. All trades are 1 for 1 and agreed upon by both players. If time expires, no more trading can then be done. So here you want to change who goes first, who goes second. You want to change the weapons that are being used and the directions that each person is shooting in that direction. The action phase then occurs. Players take turns based on their order cards and will either drive the car or use their weapon. When driving, you will move 1 space to the direction of their direction card, moving all vehicles in that space directly in the same direction, sliding it over. When using a weapon, you will fire in the direction indicated on your direction card and do as much damage shown on your weapon card. The shotgun will deal 2 damage, the pistol deals 1 damage, and the Uzi will fire 1 according to your direction card and then another in the diagonal position indicated by where you're seated and where you're shooting. When dealing damage, you will place a red cube indicating 1 damage for each of those. Each car, including your own, has a life listed on it. When damage equals a car's life, it will become wrecked and will then add damage to all directions indicated by the yellow arrows. Again, this might be back at you, or it can, chain to damage another car, which becomes wrecked, and then, it will cause a pileup. When you have more than 1 car that becomes wrecked, it's a pileup and worth the number of points as cars wrecked. Clever planning will give you some combos to make great pileups to give you points. Now, some shots that you are taking might be risky, or if you move your car, it might become a longer shot than, just shooting to the tile next to where you normally are. For those kind of shots, you will flip the coin, and on the result of the headlights, it's a success, and with the tailpipe, it's a missed shot. All players in order go through their actions in turn order, wrecking cars, causing pileups, and trying to steer clear from danger. At the end, you will score a point for all orthogonal spaces next to your car without any other cars present. This might be, due to wrecking some of them or by maneuvering the streets to avoid them, but that's a maximum of 4 points that can be gained this way. After all the action, the aftermath phase occurs. The grid collapses down, first in the front, then to the right, then from the back, and then from the left. Any vehicles stuck 2 vehicles away from the crew car, they are removed. And then you will start with a new round. Again, you earn points for multiple vehicles being wrecked, causing pileups, multiple pileups occurring during a round, and openings around the crew car at the end of your action phase. You will have different goals, but earning points and causing crashes and pileups is the main objective. Each scenario has you, rank yourself with how many points you earned. If you wreck your crew car, you all lose the game. If you achieve the lowest rank or better, then you win. And, well, that's Gun It. It's a tile placement cooperative game of dealing with the mess that's in front of you and not looking back. If you are a fan of games like Hostage Negotiator, or Final Girl, then this one should be on your radar right here. There are several mini scenarios that, can play out differently with different vehicles being placed in different places. And you have, cooperating with your team to make, the most pileups and get cars away from your car the best way possible. The game is injected with the theme from the cards, usually, the moment cards and the setting cards being the best ones that give you a better visual and give you different paths to score additional points. The tiles are 3 different types of, vehicles for the basic ones, with a good variety of special tiles that are more unique as well. Within all the hostile vehicles, the arrows point all different directions. They're not all the same way. Strategically, those arrows will determine a lot of what you want to do to take advantage of causing more damage and causing pileups. But one person's action will change the board. So when planning, you need to really, take that into account. Not forgetting that if you all of a sudden change order of play again, then you might need to, replay what will happen. Because if not, then the sequence might change and you might not be as successful with the different scenario or the different sequence that you just made. The game ramps up well with the added weapons that will make the game more exciting, and then you can use, the added vehicle attributes that will add vehicles that become armored, where they prevent the first damage that they get. Evasive, where, they can only be damaged by collateral damage. Friendly units will come into play, and if, those get damaged, it will actually be damage on your crew car as well. Resilient, which allows a vehicle to repair 1 damage after the final action for that round. And then conditional attributes listed in some of the tiles as well. They might, shoot back at you or shoot another car. Some cars can not be moved. Others, cannot be pushed. They might move when, you move or move when possible. Different things can happen. There are ways to also simplify the game, and when comfortable with the way that things go, you can make it more complicated to continue to enjoy the game as you figure it out. Scenarios change things, and again, it's like, Final Girl, hostage negotiator type game where you can continue with adding expansions, adding in new things. It can be a tense game, but it's all about cooperating with all the players to find the best plan and then gaining experience points for how well you execute that plan. Again, the clock is ticking and you need to gun it. Brody here with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Like Gun It here. If you didn't know, then now you know. Please subscribe to our channel. We are working hard to bring to you videos like this one, so you know if these games right here are ones that you want to get to your own table.